I'm going to show you now how to make this three-tiered flower, like the one that I put on my headband that I made. I'm going to start with the small one so you'll get an idea of what's going on here. I cast on 56 stitches. I'm using a softball cotton yarn and a size 6 needle. So we're going to knit the first stitch. We're then going to bind off 3. So we knit 1, we knit another stitch, we pull the first one over and off, binding off 1, binding off 2, binding off 3. Then we knit 1, and again we're going to bind off 3. So we knit the first stitch, second, pull that up and off, 1, 2, 3, bind off. Then we're going to knit 1, and again bind off 3. 1, 2, 3. We're going to do this all the way across the row until we get to the last stitch. That's our last bind off, and then we're going to just knit off the last stitch. And this is what your needle should look like. The next row is simply purl. So you're just going to turn the work around and purl all the way back as usual. Purl every stitch. And you'll see when you're purling that you're going to be closing in some of those holes. And this is what makes the ripple effect, or the ruffle effect I should say. So we're ready to start our next knit row. And you'll see you have a lot fewer stitches on your needle. And for this row, it's going to be different. Going to knit 1. We're going to bind off 2 stitches. So that's 1 and 2. Then we're going to knit 2 stitches. 1, 2. And then we're going to bind off 2 stitches. 1, 2, and you're going to do that all the way across until you get to the last 2 stitches, and we're going to just knit those 2 together. So you see we have even less stitches now, and we're going to turn the work around and just purl back. This is going to be the last row for this little flower. Going to knit 1, we're going to knit 2 together, and we're just going to knit 2 together all the way across the row. Now that's all the knitting for this little flower. We're going to cut off a rather long tail, and then we're going to take a needle. We're going to put the thread through the eye of the needle, and then we're going to, from the opposite end, take the stitches off one by one. I ended up with 8 stitches. If you end up with a few more or less, don't worry, it's going to be fine. We're just going to pull that through like so, and then with our needle and thread we're going to sew up the 2 sides of the flower like so. And there we have our first little sweet pink flower, and we're ready to start with the next one.